Hello and welcome, everybody, to this audio commentary track of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This is one of my favorite all-time movies, and I'm honestly not even exaggerating. I love even just this opening here with the WB logo coming in and Harry's little glow in the background. That was great stuff. And then it pushes all the way into his room. I mean, immediately, this is one of the best looking Harry Potter films in the franchise. One of the best directed, acted, edited, everything. This is not just one of the best Harry Potters, it's the best Harry Potter, and it transcends being good for Harry Potter into just being good. Like, this is just a great movie, and if you haven't watched it in a while, please go back and watch it with new eyes. You honestly don't even need to see the first two or the ones after it. This is the closest Harry Potter comes to a standalone movie that you could show people to get interested in the franchise. I firmly believe that, because this is like the only one that I can even think of that doesn't really have much to do with Voldemort, much to do with the overarching story. It's just like, yeah, this is a magic world, and let's go have fun. And that's a great opening title with the Lumos in the background. Great stuff, just in the opening. But I suppose we should set this up. I'm Rendan, of course. This is my audio commentary track for Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I have absolutely nothing to do with the film. That much is clear. I mean, I've done other audio commentary tracks for The Killer, for Titanic. So if you want to listen to those, be my guest. I think they're pretty okay. But I have nothing to do with the films. I have nothing to do with the writing, the directing, the editing. I'm not in the movie at all, okay? I have nothing to do with it. I just love them. I've watched them countless times. I've watched this countless times. I've done a lot of digging. I've watched commentary. I've done behind the scenes. So I'm not saying that I know a lot, but I feel comfortable enough with the film to feel like I can actually talk about it for its runtime, which for most films, I probably couldn't. I mean, 90% of the movies I watch one time and I'm out. I'm just out. Even if they're really good, there's movies like I Saw the Devil, for example, which is this nightmarish movie about a serial killer. And I watched it once and I was like, that was a great movie. It was incredibly punishing. It was miserable, and I am not going to watch it again. I've been itching to watch it recently, but I've still only seen it the once. And then there's movies like Transformers that I've randomly watched 5 times, but I still don't feel comfortable enough to talk about it because I don't like them. I don't like any of them, even though I've seen them multiple times, which is so stupid. I don't know how or why my brain works like that. But this one, Harry Potter, number 3, The Prisoner of Azkaban, I think it's the best book. I think it's the tightest paced, and I think this is the last one in the series, as far as the books go, where J.K. Rowling actually just wrote a solid book. She had a solid narrative, plot-driven, some interesting character dynamics, but mostly just boom, boom, structure, structure. And immediately after this book, it goes to shit. The 4th one's like 800 pages. The 5th one's like 900 pages. Her editor decided that basically she is God and can do no wrong, and the only thing they're going to edit is basic stuff. They're not going to cut anything out. And this is the last one where it feels like they really trimmed it to its fullest potential. But we should talk about this opening scene. It's one of the best scenes in the franchise. I've actually done a video on this film already, breaking down Alfonso Cuaron's direction of the film, which we'll talk about more later. We'll talk about Alfonso Cuarón. We'll talk about his directing. We'll talk about all that. But this opening scene, fantastic stuff. I think this is such a wonderfully balanced tone for the whole movie, and it sets things so brilliantly. I mean, I don't want to say it's the last film of this franchise shot on film. The 4th one might have been as well. But this movie just has this grittiness, this quality to it, and Alfonso Cuarón's direction is so tight. Even in this scene, it opens very matter-of-fact and almost, It's a drama, obviously, but it almost has this thriller quality where Aunt Marge is intentionally poking Harry to try and get a rise out of him, and it's not fun, it's not funny, it's pretty like damn, Marge, you're kind of evil. And then it transitions into this, which is like a Looney Tunes. Like, Dudley's getting hit in the face with buttons, the cuckoo clock's going off, it's cutting rapidly to Aunt Marge ballooning up and hitting the ceiling and bouncing around, and then it has this incredibly whimsical John Williams music, which we'll talk about more later as well. It's the best score he's done for this franchise, and one of the best scores he's ever done, honestly. I'm not even exaggerating, but we'll talk. But I don't know how you can balance those two polar opposite tones as well as Alfonso does in this scene. His direction is so sharp, his editing is so sharp, and the tone, like the way he shifts from it so effortlessly is brilliant. Like, you have Harry Potter, right, where he's looking at Marge and he's like, shut up, he's pissed, and you could hear a pin drop in the theater. I mean, this came out in 2004, which shows my age, but when this came out in theaters, even in rewatch, like I've seen it in theaters again since then, you can hear pin drop when that happens. He's yelling at Aunt Marge, you completely side with him, and then her finger balloons. You see that like smirk she has, her finger starts ballooning, and then that music slowly comes in, and then the editing gets a little bit faster, a little bit faster, a little bit faster. And that's it transitions slowly, perfectly, and effortlessly from one tone to another. I just don't know how he does it. I really don't. He's one of the best filmmakers working, and I can completely understand why he didn't want to do this franchise, because he didn't even want to do this movie. He got kind of convinced to do it. I imagine there's a big bag of money involved that got plopped on his table, and he's like, all right, fine. But he was coming off of, I think Children of Men was right after this, but he was coming off like his work in, I think he's Mexican. Now I'm questioning myself. Is he Spanish? Either way, he's coming off of his work in his own country, and I've heard interviews where he's like, this didn't seem to be the right play at the time, going from these kind of art house intimate projects into this blockbuster film, which is now the norm. I mean, you look at every Marvel movie and they're plucking independent filmmakers and just plopping them into these gigantic tentpole movies. But that wasn't really a thing here. It was like, even the early Marvel movies have like genuine filmmakers, and I don't want to be mean to any of the indie or TV filmmakers that get pulled into the Marvel films, because they're still genuine filmmakers. But they had these filmmakers that had names. I mean, Jon Favreau did the first Iron Man. He's a name. Kenneth Branagh did the first Thor. He's a name. And that wasn't... So Alfonso Cuaron wasn't really a name. But then he does this, and it's absolutely the best one. I mean, even this sequence with the dog and the playground. There isn't a better directed sequence in any of the other movies. And this was just like leftovers, it feels like. He's so good and so talented. He makes a playground where it looks like the equipment's just slowly moving. One of the most tense sequences in the film. I like, none of the other directors could even hold a candle. Christopher Columbus couldn't. I mean, he was working with a lot less, because he's working with, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds who can't really communicate much. And then on top of that, his movies are supposed to be more whimsical, because they're the first time you're getting to see Hogwarts, they're the first time you're getting introduced to these characters, so there's more whimsy, there's more lightheartedness. But then after that, like the David Yates ones suck. 4 or 5, 6, 7, and 8. He has no sequence in any of his films, and there's a lot of sequences that are supposed to be tense. None of his are even close to just this one sequence with the playground equipment and a dog. That's one of the scariest parts of the film. It's scarier than any of the stuff in any of the later movies. And I just love how he directs. Like, this scene with Stan Shunpike is so well directed. There's a shot a little bit later. It's not right now, but there's a shot a little bit later where he, instead of moving the camera, which so often is just the easy thing to do, you have an actor sit in a spot, you block the scene, and then you move the camera to try and move into a close-up or a medium or a wide. And that's usually how people direct. But what I love about Alfonso Cuaron is that he does a bit of both. He has the actors move, and he has the camera move, which I know it sounds simple, but this sequence right up coming, or shot, not sequence, this shot coming up will prove my point. Most directors are not doing this, where there's a low-angle shot looking up at Stan Shungpike, almost from the POV of Harry, when he's talking about Sirius Black, I believe. And he moves down towards the lens, like he's bending over and invading Harry's space. And then because the camera's so low, and it's slowly pushing up, and he's moving into the lens, it's invading our space. And it moves him from a medium to a close-up without really doing anything. And I just don't know why people aren't directing like that. It's such a simple but incredibly effective way of presenting a shot. And like this shot right here where he turns the paper and there's this push in. Right here I think is where this shot I'm talking about is. Hold on. Yeah, right here. See? Leaning down into a close-up is such a simple thing to do. But there's so much more communicated by him doing that. And then you get this shot where he is then leaning down into Harry's eye line. So it is sort of like a POV. It's just a brilliant way of communicating something. His direction is amazing. And this whole movie is like that. The whole movie has these moments where the blocking is clear, the business is clear, but then he shakes it up ever so slightly to communicate something viscerally to the audience. And none of the other movies do that. Again, Christopher Columbus is a very talented director, but he couldn't really do that. And I have another video about those first two movies. I do regret a bit of it. If you want to watch it, be my guest. I kind of slam Christopher Columbus a little bit, and I don't feel like he deserved it. After rewatching those movies more and reading into them more, I mean, he basically had to shoot them like documentaries because the kids were just not. They're unruly. They're kids. Getting a performance out of them is super hard. But then, like, the fourth one, like, Mike Newell, what was he thinking? He said something to the effect of, like, Alfonso Cuarón already did the dark and gritty Harry Potter, so I couldn't do it. Like, what? So you made an over-the-top comedy with, like, slapstick humor and everybody's screaming? Like, what were you thinking there, dude? It's not a bad movie, but the direction choices there don't make as much sense. This is a fun scene, too. I love that, like, close-up magic that guy does, where he makes the bottle disappear into the rag. It's such a fun little detail. This movie is full of these fun little details that don't necessarily need to be there, but they give this world some life, some depth, and a little bit of creativity. Just that moment is so great. You don't even need that shot showing Harry coming into the leaky cauldron. You could literally just cut to Harry and Igor, whatever his name is, coming through that door. That's all you really needed. Because we know he's in a leaky cauldron. He had that shot establishing with the sign. But Alfonso Cuarón is such a perfect world builder as well. That moment, they're just walking through, and you get to see and establish that room. Because that room does come back. So it is nice to see it early and understand its geography a little bit. And then you get that great little bit of close-up magic where he makes that bottle disappear, which I think is probably just a really clever, fun sleight of hand trick from an actual magician. Or it's a really clever piece of CG or filmmaking. And then you get the actual quote-unquote magic where he lifts the chairs up. Like, that's such a great detail. And this scene has so many great little moments in it, too. I've talked about this in my other video where Cornelius Fudge is talking to Harry about blowing up his aunt, and Harry's like not really paying attention for the first bit of the scene, and Fudge is like in the corner just basically talking to himself, and you get this weird, it's not slapstick, but this weird jokiness between Igor and Harry that is overlapping the dialogue. It's almost like Zucker Brothers. If it was like 4 times more over the top, it would be a Zucker Brothers comedy, because they had this rule. I'm just going to talk about them now. They had this rule in comedy where if you have a joke in the foreground, You can't have a joke in the background, and vice versa. It's too much for the audience. It's too much to process. So in Airplane, you would if somebody was saying, like, "Don't call me Shirley," that line, it's in a blank cockpit, where there's nothing in the background because they want you to focus on that joke, which is a verbal foreground joke. But then in the background, you'll have scenes where one of the characters is talking about, like, his backstory, and he has flashbacks, and in the background, people are, like, hanging themselves, joke in the background, while he is giving information about his life, exposition. And it's a really fun way to deliver kind of boring, mundane dialogue, but having the audience still be interested because there's a joke. And that's what that scene with Cornelius Fudge does perfectly. There's boring, mundane dialogue being delivered in the background and fun stuff in the foreground. So you can understand what's happening if you want to. It's there, but it's not 100% necessary. So you have these fun little joke with him and Igor and these, like, walnuts. And he's, like, trying to get him to get stuff. Yeah, great stuff. And again, this Book of Monster scenes, not necessarily needed. Like, you don't really need it. You could just have the scene later where Hagrid's talking about stroking the spine. But then it wouldn't hit quite as hard without that scene. Just having that little moment where there's, like, this world is magical and this book is alive and it's going to try and chomp on you. That's, like, great little world building. I love it. And I also really like the subtle changes to things. So the Christopher Columbus movie, if you go rewatch those, like, the Leaky Cauldron does not look like this at all. It's, like, smoky, it's dimly lit, it's got this, like, creepy quality to it. That scene when Harry goes into the Leaky Cauldron in the first film and meets Professor Quirrell, it's like a seedy dive bar. And again, it's very smoky. It's like orange lighting. It's very lit by fire. It's, like, very dim and dark. And this is so open. It's so bright. But it still has that little bit of that quality with the fireplace all blackened. It looks and feels lived in. But it's so different. It's so different. And you don't even really think about it or notice it. But I do think this version of it is nicer. It seems more akin to what a popular wizard hangout would be. Whereas the one in the Christopher Columbus movie, as much as I do like it, it feels more like they're going to Nocturne Alley, like where the, like, darker, more creepy wizards would hang out. And this is, like, a family establishment because everybody knows the Leaky Cauldron. Everyone's talking about the Leaky Cauldron, so it makes more sense for it to feel and look like this, I think, personally. I also love this shot. I talked about this in my video as well, but this is a one unbroken take, and there's so much business going on in this. So we've talked about business, we've talked about blocking. Let me explain. In filmmaking, when you're setting up a scene, there's a lot that's going on. Unless you're boring, there's a lot going on. Business and blocking are two major and important elements of staging a scene. So take this for example. Harry and what's his name? Ron's dad. What is his name? Wow, I just blanked. That's crazy. So that scene, that's a great little puppet of that rat too. But that's a great scene of blocking in business. You have to block the scene, meaning you have to stage where the actors are, where they're going to be, how they're going to move, and how the camera is going to move with them. So blocking the scene is like, okay, you're going to be standing here. Here's your mark. You're going to be moving to this spot. So it's usually like this, for example, where characters are coming down this hallway of the train. So you're going to come down the hallway, and then you're going to sit. And the camera's going to be following in front of you. It's going to pull back, and then as you sit, it's going to lean down and kind of slowly push into the door. That's blocking the scene. So you're blocking the scene, and then the business of the scene is what the characters are going to be doing. So you have to give them the motivation to actually have the movement. That's the business. What are they doing in the scene? They're walking in, they're sitting in the compartment, he's closing the door. That's business. And every scene has it, and it's incredibly important. But for one-take shots, like in the Leaky Cauldron, it's even more important because there isn't a moment where you can stop. You just have to go. You have to go. So you have to block and make the business for that entire 1, 2, 3 minute sequence. And that's what Alfonso Cuaron is known for at this point. I mean, Children of Men has some of the most iconic one-ers in history. But even that shot in the Leaky Cauldron, as simple as it seems, the camera follows. How like I keep forgetting his name? I keep wanting to call him Alfred, which is not his name. But Ron's dad and Harry, they move from the table, then they move into that little side seating area. Then they slowly move further and further down that side seating area into this kind of nook in the wall, where then the camera pushes into Harry. You have to block all of that with just those two actors. Here, 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 and the camera, here, 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 here. And then in the background, to make it feel alive, Ron's entire family's there. So what are they doing? Now you have to give every single one of them business. You have to give them something to do. Percy's filling up his teacup with the magic cauldron or magic teapot. People are talking to each other. People are moving. And then on top of that, the motivation for the characters to move, the business, or the blocking, I guess, from the table to the side area is they don't want to be overheard. So they move to the side area. And then, okay, so now we need to have another family come in and sit right next to them. Okay, so now we need to move further down. And that's all motivated by something. It's brilliant stuff and so incredibly simple, you don't even think about it or notice it. And that is the utter perfect filmmaking, is when you can do something that looks simple and effortless, but is absolutely the opposite. And that scene is that. And this scene with the Dementor has great moments of really subtle, brilliant filmmaking. Again, with the transition from a wide to a close-up. The wide of the door when the Dementor slowly moving into the frame. Creepy-ass image. Then you see its hand open the door, and the camera moves faster and pushes into the hand closing on the door. You go from a wide to a close-up. Simple, effective filmmaking. Tension. And then there's Lupin shooting it in the head with his force field, which is not at all what a Patronus is. They have a little shield. I think they say that there's like a shield variant, but it's usually like an aminal. They shoot out a little aminal. I did mine on HarryPotter.com. It's like a stupid bird. Boo. I didn't want a bird. But it is funny to watch every single one of these movies and feel the direction change. Sometimes you don't even know how to explain it, but you can just feel the difference. And that's what great, mediocre, and bad filmmaking does to somebody. Most of the time, people can't explain it because they don't understand what's happening. I mean, that whole sequence in The Leaky Cauldron, most people wouldn't understand what's going on because they don't pay attention or notice. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not understanding how to create that scene or even recognizing that it was a one take. I mean, I point that out whenever I watch this with people because I watch it every fall. Multiple times a year, but definitely at fall time. It's the perfect fall movie. You crack a window, that like 60-degree air comes in. Ooh, it's special. But every time I watch it with someone, I point it out, like, this is a one take. They did this all in one shot, and it's like 3 minutes long, and they're like, whoa, I never even noticed that, and I love this. That is great filmmaking. I think when filmmaking becomes too obvious, it can get in the way. And when it's boring, it gets in the way. And that's when it's noticeable in a bad way. But Alfonso Cuarón is the absolute perfect director to find a balance between making something look effortless without calling attention to itself. Even this scene coming up, I think I'm going to do a whole nother video just analyzing this one scene. Like this shot, just to start. Panning down into the Great Hall. Going past the students. You get a good establishing shot with that wide of the students, of this choir playing. You push in, Flitwick's directing them. It's a whole new actor. No one noticed. And then you get these great little rubber puppets of the frogs that are going to be singing with them. That's magical. It's fun. Camera pushes in. Watch this. Everyone parts, and instantly Dumbledore is up there giving a speech. Incredible. That is such... Oh, man. They cut so much out. They have so much communicated. Oh, I love it. That one shot is one of my favorites in the movie, and you would not even notice or care. Like, most people wouldn't notice or care. And then this shot, where it's pushing into Dumbledore finishing up, like, introducing Lupin. The camera goes over his little owl pedestal, past Dumbledore, to show Lupin. Another moment that's, like, 2 in 1. You're getting so much out of it by just one moment, one movement of the camera, one movement of an actor. It's hard. And it requires a lot of rehearsal, especially when you're shooting on film. Here, they do it again. Watch. Dumbledore saying, we're going to replace so-and-so with Rubeus Hagrid. Camera goes over. Dumbledore motions to him, giving the audience something to look at. He walks out of the frame. Boom, we push in on Hagrid. Camera moves down, showing his size. He disrupts the table. It's fun. It's a little magic. It's a little crazy. And you don't even have to cut. I think the less you have to cut, the better that it feels to the audience. Because that's what movies are, is visual storytelling. That's what we want to see, whether we know it or not, is that little moments like that. And I also love that these candles are actually burning. Like, you can see the wax dripping off of them. Maybe that's a subtle little visual effect, and there's like a trick of the movie. But I do like that it, like, you can see the candles. I feel like they look like they're burning to me. I don't know. That's a stupid thing to say, but this shot's great too. That extreme close-up on Dumbledore and then the extreme close-up on Harry as if they're, like, communicating directly to each other. Woo! And then Dumbledore, boom, straight into happiness can be found. And this is another great moment of business. Wipes out the candle. It's dark. But then, you know how easy it is to just turn it back on? Yeah! Wow. See, I could analyze that scene in just in one video. I could really break it down. Man, it's so good. And I love that how... Oh, what the... Is that like Voldemort in a portrait right there? I never noticed that. I just love that as dark as this movie can be and gets, it still has that magical whimsy that I love about this universe. That's mostly lost in, like, 5 through 8. That magical whimsy of what would a magical world be like? How odd, how strange. That a lot of that's gone, and it kind of starts with the 4th one, but then gets way, way worse with the 5th on. Like, at least Alfonso Cuaron has them still in their robes. They're still going to their houses. You get these fun scenes where they're getting... The ghost is walking through them. These like, magical jelly beans where they're making animal noises. The portraits. It's still a fun and interesting world that's so different from our own that it becomes fun and interesting and funny. But it has that real darkness to it. Especially later on. And this first act, man, I could even talk about this in length. The first act so brilliantly establishes and sets up every possible thing you would need for later. Like, it even establishes the fat lady and how weird and extroverted she is. So that later, when Sirius Black claws her up, it's like a, oh wow, the fat lady, I already know her, I already like her. This is and that's a gorgeous shot of the Dementors swooping in towards Hogwarts. I mean, they set up the fat lady, they set up the Dementors, what they can do. I mean, it is pitch perfect filmmaking. And I feel like at this point you know, but we're half hour in, and all I've talked about is the filmmaking. I'm not exaggerating. There isn't a better directed movie in this series. And I think it sounds silly to say, there isn't a better directed blockbuster maybe since the 80s. Maybe since the 90s, we'll say. Because Spielberg was doing great stuff in blockbuster filmmaking. I mean, he basically invented blockbuster filmmaking. And Jurassic Park is incredible. One of the greats. As far as modern blockbuster filmmaking, though, think there's great directors out there. Christopher Nolan is doing great stuff in blockbuster filmmaking. I don't think you can count Paul Thomas Anderson. I don't think you can count Quentin Tarantino. Like, they're making money, but they're not making Christopher Nolan money. Like, none of the Marvel movies are this well directed. None of the DC. As much as I like what James Gunn's doing, they're not as, like, perfect as this is. I mean, I legitimately don't think I can come up with a single flaw in how this movie is presented and executed. I really don't. I mean, the closest thing that you can talk about to flaws are with, like, maybe the time travel stuff, maybe some of the plot and storytelling, but that's all J.K. Rowling. And even, what's his name? Who wrote this? The guy that wrote all these movies, his name, like, Ethan Cloves or something. Which I think we owe him an apology. I think we owe him more than we owe J.K. Rowling. And I know that's crazy to say because she invented the franchise. But the way that we see these movies and the way that we see this franchise stems from the scripts of these films tightening J.K. Rowling's work. It's like he essentially edited it for her. Hey, another great moment of Emma Thomas crouching down into a close-up. Like I said. And now this guy is an aura farmer. That guy, it's an omen of death. Never shows up again in the rest of the franchise. It's just this movie. He comes in and he aura farms and he leaves. I also think the castle hasn't looked better than it does in this one. Like, that shot of it in the background, it's like a little run down. It's a little dirty on the outside. It gives it that lived-in quality. This whole, there's so many little changes to the layout of Hogwarts, to the layout of, the Leaky Cauldron, like I said. Hagrid's hut here is in, like, a completely different spot than it is in the rest of the franchise. But it just makes it, everything is so much more visual and so much more interesting in how it's laid out that it works. You don't even notice it because the way it's shot, the way it's orchestrated just makes so much sense. I know I'm glazing. I know I'm meat writing. I just don't think there's anything else to be said. I just love the way that it. I also love, like, the costume design, like every detail. I've talked about the production design and the Leaky Cauldron. I've talked about the cinematography. I've talked about the blocking and the business. I've talked about all of these things. And I haven't even talked about the costume design. And I think even that is so perfectly handled. Just in this scene, you can tell what kind of character. Look at Hermione's time turner. There it was. It was on her neck there. See, they established that too. You establish, like, the characters based on how they're dressed here as well. You get Crabbe and Goyle. Crabbe he doesn't have his robe on. His shirt is sort of, like, unkempt. Like, half of it's not even tucked in. Goyle's, he has the robes on, but they're all kind of open. It's still a little untidy. And then Malfoy is, like, the symbol of how you should dress. He has the robes. He has, like, the sweater vest. He has the tie. Everything is, like, perfect because he's putting on a show. Malfoy in this whole series is, like, the bully guy who says he doesn't care about anything, but everything he does is, like, perfectly manicured because he's putting on a show for people. He has to maintain appearances. He has to maintain this image. And so just that costume. And then Ron, Harry, Hermione are the exact same. Ron not having his robes on, his shirt's untied or not tucked in, his tie's loosey goosey because he legitimately doesn't give a shit. And then Harry's is mostly there. Like, the tie isn't perfectly done because he never had a dad, so he probably just didn't know how to do it. That top button's not done. He has his robe kind of on. And then Hermione is kind of like Draco, perfect. It's even the robe is buttoned, and she has the time turner on, and the tie is perfect because that's who she is. She cares about kind of that appearance of her. And then you get, like, Seamus in the background, and his tie's, like, tucked into his shirt all weird. Like, come on! Paying that much attention to even the costume design for these 30 kids? How can you not glaze this movie? And the visual effects still hold up. I mean, I see on Twitter, I swear, once a month where people are like, visual effects in the mid 2000s, and it's an image of Buckbeak and Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean, and then visual effects from now, and that's what's his name, the round guy in Ant-Man Quantumania. Here's the thing. I've thought about making a video about this too, but I feel like it's already been talked about, and most people know this. And I think a lot of people are just kind of engagement baiting. I hate that term, but I'm not sure there's a better one for this. I think most people understand that, like, look, this whole scene is shot on location, outdoors, in this gorgeous little area with trees and this little wall. It's on location. It's beautiful. You can tell it's out in the sun because of how harsh the light is in a lot of the areas on the ground. The only thing that's a visual effect is Buckbeak. So if you're a visual effects artist and it's shot on film, so you have that film grain, that grittiness that can actually hide visual effects a little bit. Marvel's all shot on digital, which is a clean image. It's very pristine, so it's a little harder to hide visual effects. But that's the one shot. That's the one thing that's a visual effect. So you can just focus all of your attention on just creating this one creature as best as possible. Now, this was 2004. So for 2004, it's still incredibly impressive. But that's the difference. Davy Jones was like the one visual effect. Or his crew, or they're like the one visual effects. They're shooting on ships. They're shooting on location. So you don't have to create an entire world around them. You don't have to take out the green screen and create an entire background. When that happens, you can't focus on the thing that should look good. And here, the thing that should look good is Buckbeak. And they do it. And they do it very well. Now, in this scene, they probably did have to do some reference photography. I don't even know. It could legitimately be Harry is on a green screen here, on a puppet or something, and then they played out the background with these shots, actual shots on location, and then just put him in. Or they could do an entire green screen background or CGI background. I don't think so. I would bet they shot some really pristine, gorgeous B-roll in these pretty locations and then just plopped Harry and Buckbeak into them. And again, that's the difference. Like Ant-Man Quantumania, you can't really shoot on location. I mean, you can like have them go into a bar and then you can shoot that in a set, but that's the fail, I think, of a lot of modern filmmaking, is that it relies so heavily on entire CG scenes. Even movies I like, Superman, for example, there's shots that are just 100% CG. And as much as I like it, there's already scenes that I look at, I'm like, that doesn't look that good. And in 10 years, it's not going to look good at all. But then you have a movie like this. Prisoner of Azkaban not only holds up, but legitimately is better looking, better presented, better executed than basically anything coming out in blockbuster filmmaking. You could put this out today, and I would say, okay, that shot of Buckbeak's not the best. Okay, that shot of Hagrid looks like it was kind of manipulated on a blue screen. But then you have a shot of them walking down to Hagrid's hut, and I'm like, that looks amazing. It's immaculate. And it's partially also because it's shot on film, and film is something that you can rescan and upscale, and there's technology that can take that film print and it has like 8K quality or something. Like 35 millimeter is like 8K quality or something, or 4K or something. Whereas digital, you get an image on a card, and there's no rescanning that image. There's no making a digital image better. It's just that's how it is. The depth isn't there. It's kind of flat. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of really great digital films. I think even Alfonso Cuaron started shooting. I mean, he did Gravity. Of course he did. So there's not necessarily anything wrong with digital. it's just it's not going to hold up as well. The first ever digital camera, the first film that's shot on digital is 28 days later, and you go watch it, and it looks like dog shit. I mean, that was kind of the point, to make it look like a sign of the times, like a documentary of the times. But it looks actively horrible. I mean, even this shot of the Dementor, as cool as it is, and as much as I do like it, where the Dementor is like freezing these flowers, that's clearly all digital or visual effect, and it doesn't look amazing. This shot's amazing though, where it pushes in to the wardrobe and then transitions just to the class. That's great stuff. Again, subtle filmmaking. All they had to do is have a little visual effect of the wardrobe to push the camera in. Great stuff, man. But again, going back to digital film, I personally think, I know it's hard, and it's much more difficult to do, and it's probably much more expensive than just renting a digital camera. But I think if you're making a movie, I think you should shoot it on film. I really do. There's great movies shot on digital. Tangerine is shot on an iPhone, and it's a good movie. But I just know in the future, probably now, I haven't seen it since it came out, it's going to look really bad. And film has this timeless, ageless quality that if you want to re-release it, you just rescan the negative, and with modern technology, and you can make it look very, very good. Now, there is an issue with modern filmmaking and rescanning negatives. It's like Peter Jackson did this, and I hate that he did it, where he rescanned the Lord of the Rings negative, and then he did digital noise reduction to take out the film grain, to give it that kind of clean look, and it looks so bad. What are we doing? Why are we doing that? Why are we doing digital noise reduction? It looks like shit. The film grain is part of the image. It adds a quality to it. And especially with a franchise that's about magic, where magic and the modern world are so unconnected that the magic world is almost like, it's like borderline Dark Ages Renaissance. Film just makes so much sense for that. Shooting on digital, like, there are times when shooting on digital makes sense. Sci-fi, fantasy, futuristic things, having that clean image, it looks good if that is the point. Okay, this is supposed to be a clean, manicured, beautiful, pristine world. Shoot it on digital, sure. You can shoot Star Wars on digital if you want. But even that, I think, would look better on film. I really do. I think Star Wars would, if every single Star Wars movie was shot on film, it would be better. Just like rewatching The Phantom Menace, the shots when he transitions from shooting on film to digital are noticeable. I don't know. I'm not even a purist. I like Chris Nolan is like, I'm always going to shoot on film. Quentin Tarantino, I'm always going to shoot on film. And I'm starting to see the vision. Like, I've never been that purist guy, but I'm starting to see the vision. And I think partially it's also that I think art should come from struggle to some degree. Not that it's too easy to make a movie now, but it's too easy to make a movie now. Like, a bunch of ingrates can get their iPhone out and go shoot a movie, and it can be the worst thing ever. I've even worked with people that, you know, the barrier to entry to get a movie done is lower than ever, which is great. It really is. Getting a movie made should be something that anyone can reasonably do, because it's an art form, and creating art is something everyone should have access to. I look at movies like this, and I look at movies shot on film, And there is a quality where it's like they just don't look like this anymore. And I don't know. I am starting to see the vision. I'm starting to lean into Christopher Nolan, Quentin Tarantino's camp of that movie should be shot on film. There should be a struggle. It should be difficult. Like, film is not easy. It's loud, it's a little expensive. But that should be part of the journey. I think good art comes from some struggle. I don't agree with, like, so many musicians talk about how, like, music should come from a place of darkness. And, like, Trey Edward Schultz, for example, he made Waves, and he made It Comes at Night. And he's like, I only make art from, like, a place of darkness. And yeah, great art can come from a place of darkness, but it can come from a place of happiness too. But I do think that even if it's coming from a place of happiness, there is a struggle to create. You have to put yourself out there. You have to actually, like, just making a painting, like a really happy painting. The sun is out, your family is there. Even painting that can be a struggle. You have to get the paint. You have to pay for the paint. You have to actually go out and do it. You have to draw it. You have to create it. And then you have to put it out there. You have to put yourself out there. Like, that's still a struggle. Where, like, AI is not a struggle. Digital film, compared to film, is much less of a struggle. Yes, you have to color grade it. You have to maybe do more work on it in post-production. But I don't know. I think the struggle of creating while you're on set, working with the actors, because, like, the film itself is the important thing. The post-production is hugely important, don't get me wrong. But I think the struggle, there should be more struggle while you're there than in a room looking at an image. Like, most of the work should be done before you get the image back. My opinion. And I don't think I don't even think people in the industry are going to all agree with that. I don't know. But, like, even this shot of Lupin on the bridge and Harry on the bridge, it's all done in one take. And you get a little bit of movement, you get a little bit of business, you get a little bit of blocking with Lupin just going to the back of the bridge. And that's it. But it's great. It's great, man. I don't know. I'm just so sad about where this franchise ends up going. Also, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, our first act just concluded. With Harry not being able to go to Hogsmeade. Now the fat lady. This is our break into 2. I think, again, if I'm nitpicking, which I can do, you can nitpick basically anything. If I'm nitpicking, I can nitpick this movie. And I can nitpick and say the first act's a little long. I think a 45-minute first act is a hair long. Even though the movie is, what, 2.5 hours? Hold on. I think it's 2.5 hours. Let me look. Where's my controller? I'm watching this on HBO Max. Yeah, so I'm at the 50-minute mark. There's an hour 33 left. Wow, okay, my brain's kind of fried. Hold on. Math is mathing. It's 2:22. Okay. Yeah, about 2.5 hours. If this was 3 hours, 45 minutes is fine for a first act. I think that would be a trim first act for a 3-hour movie. But for 2.5 hours, it's a hair long. I think you could... I think you could get it to 40. But then again, like, every moment feels so important and so earned that I'm not even sure that nitpick makes sense. I don't know. And that's the thing with filmmaking too, is that it's definitely more of an art. Hey, there's that giraffe. If you watch carefully, that giraffe in the background goes between like 4 paintings to get to this one. It's kind of fun. filmmaking is more of an art than a science too. I mean, there's beat sheets when you're writing a movie. This happens at the 5-page mark. This happens at the 10-page mark. This happens at the 20-page mark. So you can nitpick based on the science, which I'm doing here. The science of filmmaking says in a 2-hour movie, your first act should be about 25 pages, aka 25 minutes. A page is about a minute. First act, 2 hours, 25 minutes. So 2.5 hours, 30, 35 minutes, probably 35. So 45 is pushing it. It's a little bit long. And that the reason behind that is that the first act is establishing the second act, and the third act, obviously. It's establishing everything. Characters, conflict, time, place, everything. First act is establishing, if you're going to introduce a gun in the first act, then you fire it in the third act. That's the basic reasoning behind the first act. Everything has a reason for being, so it doesn't feel like it comes out of nowhere for the audience. Okay. So it shouldn't be that long. If you have a lot to establish, okay, take the time to establish everything, and this movie clearly has a lot to establish. Dementors, Fat Lady, Sirius Black, all this stuff. There's a lot more. But it has a lot to establish. And because of that, the first act is long. But in relative terms, most movies shouldn't have very long first acts. The longest act of a movie is absolutely the second act. It's going to take up the majority of the runtime. It's going to go from basically, 2-hour runtime. This is kind of the standard time for a movie, is about 2 hours. The second act is essentially from page 25 to page 75, maybe 80. So that's what? 50 minutes? An hour, roughly, of your runtime? That's a long time. That's a good chunk of the movie, and it should be, because that's the conflict. That's the characters growing. That's the characters learning, growing, understanding. And the first act is just there to establish what's going to happen in the second act, which is why the second act's so long. And then the second act is meant to slowly build up to how everything's going to pay off in the third act. So I get it. The first act is a bit long in this. I think even the third act is a hair long, because you get the time turner stuff, which we'll talk about, the plot plot device, time travel stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit. Third act's a little bit long. And this is all nitpicking. This is all based on the science of filmmaking. But there is an art to it. And the artistry of the first act and the third act, I think, overwhelms the science of it. Again, I can nitpick and say, that's too long, or that doesn't quite work, or this is this, or this is that. But this artistic integrity of it is more important. And the artistry and the execution is so good that the science of it, you know what? I can let it pass. I can let it slide. And that's why things like CinemaSins suck my balls. But maybe now's the time to talk about it. Sure, why not? One. Okay. Yeah. CinemaSins. I know it's not nearly as popular as it used to be. CinemaSins in like circa 2015, I don't even know, 2014 maybe? CinemaSins circa 2014, we'll say mid-2010s. There was almost nothing in the filmmaking community more popular. I mean, I think their most popular, let me actually pull it up. Their most popular video, outside of Everything Wrong with CinemaSins, which is so stupid. They could only come up with 3 minutes worth of things wrong with them. Oh, dude, I'm going to talk for way more than 3 minutes. Their most popular video came out 11 years ago. So that's, 2014? So I was spot on. 2012. That video is 20 minutes long and has 25 million views. Their latest stuff, Everything Wrong with Snow White, 100K. Everything Wrong with Tin Cup, who even knows what that is? 55K. So they're not nearly as popular as they used to be. They're still raking in hundreds of thousands of views, so good for them. Make that money, make that bread. I can't necessarily fault them for chasing the bag. I'll give them that. They're chasing the bag, but my God, is their form of criticism hurtful to this art form. I'm trying to choose my words very carefully here. I think this is what I'm so scared of becoming a CinemaSins or a nostalgia critic, because, or YMS, because these guys, to be fair, I watched almost all of these guys when I was first getting into film. I think most people would relate to that, or I Hate Everything, or Ralph the Movie Maker, all these guys that are very popular in the filmmaking criticism community. But I'm very scared of becoming like them, which I know sounds very egotistical, but I think all of these guys, maybe with the exception of I Hate Everything, because now he just doesn't do anything anymore, all of these guys hit a point where they got so popular and everybody relied on their opinions so much that even if CinemaSins or YMS started off as just like, let's criticize this movie in a hyperbolic, over-the-top way for entertainment purposes, even if they started that way, which I do semi-believe they did, they're not that way anymore because they're so popular and so many people trust and believe their opinions to the point where this hyperbole, this exaggerated criticism has become their brand. And now I think even they have started to believe that they're right. Where at first it may have been entertainment, at first it may have been hyperbole. Now I don't think it is. And I think that is it's not obvious. This is probably not the right word, but it's a dangerous way to look at art. It's a dangerous way to consume art. Is like CinemaSins is like, oh, there's 45 seconds of logos. Ding, that's a sin. Like, what are we doing? And I know for a fact at this point in their career, they actually do believe that that is a bad thing. But who gives a shit? There's 45 seconds of logos. Okay. Does that have anything to do with the art? No. Like, that's so frustrating to me to have an entire group of people watching these people and believing them and saying, oh yeah, 45 seconds of logos is bad. Now I don't like this movie as much. Like, what? What are we doing? I went to The Brutalist. It's a 4-hour movie. There's an intermission. 2 hours in, intermission comes on. Guy next to me, literally, stands up. I'm going to go to the bathroom and write my Letterboxd review. I'm like, excuse me, bro? There is an entire movie left. There's 2 hours left in this movie. Like, excuse me? That is a actively very, very bad thing for not only media literacy, but for film as an art form. It is degrading what studios should expect from their own films. Because people are just going to review them halfway through the movie. So, oh, whatever, we'll just make whatever. Who cares? Or, oh, it's a CinemaSin to have a ton of logos. Oh, it's a CinemaSin to have a plot convenience. It's CinemaSin to have a plot device. That's part of the film. That's part of filmmaking. That's so frustrating to me. And look at Hedwig. Hedwig is such a freaking badass, just sitting on that rock there. And that's a gorgeous scene. Absolutely looks like it was shot at a different time of day in a different place than where they just were. But the reverse is gorgeous of that island. And this is the thing. I'm so scared. And this, hold on, before we go further. This transition is the best in the movie. And it's probably all CG, but it looks great. Hedwig's flying from a scenic background into a snowy winter background. And just like that, we have transitioned a ton of time without even realizing that months have just gone by. That is such a great way of showing the passage of time. Amazing. Love it. Again, back to film criticism. It's something I'm very scared of becoming, is what CinemaSins is doing, or YMS is doing, which is just latching on to little things and pretending like they're a big deal. I mean, you can go watch a YMS video. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because they're hours, like the YMS reviews are hours and hours long, and most of it is just He nitpicks a detail for 10 minutes. I wish I was lying. But I remember when I was watching him back in the day, he did a video for After Earth, which is a very bad movie. I'm not going to say it's not. That one probably deserves a YMS review, a nitpicky, asshole-y review, because that movie is horrible. But there's like an entire little thing, a part of the movie where Will Smith is standing on this like ramp in a spaceship, and it's a ramp to nowhere, like it's stupid. And he comes down the ramp, and then YMS like lingers on it for like 5 minutes. What is this ramp? Who designed this ramp? Why does it go nowhere? And again, it's that hyperbole that maybe he's joking around, but I also know that that criticism is something he believes. And sure, perfectly valid to say that ramp goes nowhere, that's stupid. But does it hinder my experience of the movie? Not really. Not really. Like, yeah, I can point things out in even my favorite movies and go, that's silly, or that's stupid. I don't. But typically, they're so little, so nitpicky that it doesn't hinder the experience. Typically. Now, from his mind, from his point of view, maybe it does. And I've heard him talk about First Reformed, another example, where he's like, I have all these issues. I think he talked about it on his podcast when he first started it. He's like, I had all these issues with First Reformed, but even if all of those issues I talked about in my video were fixed, my rating would go up by 1 point. Instead of a 6, it'd be a 7 or something like that. And to me, that feels like such a gross way of looking at art. Like, oh, if all these issues I have with it are fixed, then I'd still only give it a 7. It's still only kind of good. Like, I don't even understand the thought process there. I don't know how I got on the subject, I'll be honest, but that woman did not lick that sucker. And I love this Neville goes to lick this CG sucker, and then the sucker, like, floats around. See, I can nitpick. That looks bad. That sucker looks very bad. But you know what doesn't look bad? Literally every other thing in that shot. So who gives a shit? Art isn't necessarily about a ramp leading to nowhere. It's about how it resonates with you. So I think that's the most important thing. And I hope I never forget that. And again, a lot of these guys, I'm sure, have things and movies that will resonate them. And After Earth is probably not going to resonate with anybody. And maybe the ramp was part of it. But I don't know. Anyway, back to the movie. Draco just flinched before that actually hit him. And that's another thing. Oh, okay. Here's the thing. That's a completely CG shot. This has been media. We'll continue this train of media literacy. One of the worst things that social media has ever done for specifically film is given people the ability to take a trailer, take a clip, take a movie, and analyze it frame by frame. One, that was never the intended purpose of film. I don't think analyzing a film frame by frame is a good idea at all. Now, have I done it? Yes. But I wouldn't... It's so difficult because, I mean, everybody's done this, where they'll stop a movie and walk out of a room to get something and come back and they realize that it's like the worst place to stop. Someone's making a stupid face or there's something ugly happening. That's the thing. Movies aren't meant to be... Yeah, they're pictures. They're 24 pictures in a second, so okay. But movies aren't meant to be stopped and analyzed every frame by frame. And when you do that, it's even easier to say, oh, this movie's bad because of this. I analyzed this frame by frame, and this was bad. That is taking media literacy to a level that is gross and out of place in criticism. I think if you do that, I'm trying to choose my words carefully, but I'm going to respect your opinion less. Like, another great example, Superman recently. Superman just came out a couple weeks ago, the James Gunn Superman, but for months and months, on Twitter, on Instagram, people were taking the trailers and taking the clips, slowing them down, going frame by frame and saying, look, this visual effect shot doesn't look as good. Look, David Cornsweet is making this stupid face, and this movie's going to suck because of that. And I'm like, but this isn't the intended way to watch. A trailer isn't even the intended part of the movie. Like, it's taking clips out of context and making them look like they're in context. That's the whole point of a trailer. That's the whole point of a clip. You don't get the full context of something, so why are we judging it by a frame? I think it's gross. Now, without further ado, let's look at Harry Potter frame by frame. Now, here's an interesting moment where Harry learns about Sirius exploding Peter, and then Cornelius Fudge almost kind of sees Harry or gets startled by him. This is an interesting moment because in another movie, this could be part of the first act. This could be like the catalyst that spurs the second act. But here it is, an hour in. And maybe I don't know, man. I'm trying to think. Again, the science of filmmaking is not a science. I don't know. It's a good scene. Don't get me. I'm not saying it's not. This is a good scene, and I like the scene a lot. I'm just curious about it. I'm scene curious. I'm bi-curious about scenes. Doesn't even make any sense. I like that too, where he bowls over all those people. That's fun. See, there's still whimsy here, even though that's like Harry just learned that Sirius Black may have been the reason his parents died. Like, that's a dark, tragic thing. But there's still whimsy of all of these little people getting pushed over by an invisible Harry. That's funny. I hope he finds me, because when he does, I'm gonna kill him. Okay, 13-year-old angsty boy. You're not gonna do nothing. You know what's interesting? Let's talk about the trivia a little bit about this movie. I don't think these actors are giving their best performance of the series in this movie. It's certainly better than the last two, but they're still young. Like, Harry's clearly was supposed to be crying there, and he ain't. He ain't. But I think they understand their characters better in this one than they did in the last two. And partially, excuse me, gross. Partially, that's because of Alfonso Cuaron. Again, direction, I do honestly think this. I think anybody, and I do mean anybody, can be a good actor, and or not even that, deliver a good performance if the direction is good. If you have if I was on a Quentin Tarantino set, I think I could deliver a good performance. I'm not a good actor, but I think with a Tarantino, a Nolan, Alfonso Cuarón, these very talented directors, I think with their guidance, even me, a couch potato idiot, could deliver a very good performance in a movie. I think so. I think there is naturally like Daniel Day-Lewis is good in everything regardless of the director. And of course, he's worked basically just with great directors because he's a smart actor. But I think he's an incredibly talented actor as well. I think David Lewis, I can't pronounce his name, I'm sorry. I think he's an incredibly naturally gifted, talented actor. And they can deliver. There are actors that can just deliver good performances. Timothée Chalamet, as much as everybody's glazing him, I think he's a very talented actor that will just deliver great performances. But if you have a great director, the everyday average dude can also. And then the talented ones will shine even the more. So, I say all that because Alfonso Cuarón comes into this franchise 3 movies in. I think there's like 5 or 6 books out by this point. So he wants to understand these characters and the actors. And apparently he had, like, the main three, Harry, Ron, Hermione, write essays to him as their characters. And it's such a simple thing. However, doing things like that, I honestly think helps not only the actors and the rest of the team and the crew, but the director as well, understand who he's working with, how he should work with them going forward, and what kind of characters he needs to pull from the actors. So, like, Harry kind of did an essay. It was like, he tried. He did okay. You know, it wasn't exactly perfect, but that's Harry's character. He tries hard, but he's not, like, the perfect student. And then Hermione, Emma Watson, turned in, like, this perfectly manicured, exact, amazing essay. And then Rupert Grint just didn't do it because Ron either wouldn't do it or he'd have Hermione do it for him. So, like, that little detail, that little trivia fact there is fun and interesting because of, like, oh, the process of filmmaking, that's fun and interesting. But also because it helps, I think, all of them understand the characters better. And I think they deliver better performances because now they're doing something in their real lives as the character. And I think that will help you get in the headspace of the characters better. Like, kids, even a kid probably would be like, oh, okay, I get it now. And these actors are still very young in this. Still very, very young. I mean, they're probably not 20, but they're probably upper teens at this point. What is this? This is 2004. Daniel Radcliffe was born in 89. So he was, math is mathing, 15 in this? Am I right? 1, 2... Yeah, I think 15. So he's still a teenager. He's still very, very young. I mean, he was, I think, literally 10 or 11, which was the perfect age for that first movie. And now he's 15 here, so that's still super young. And getting a 15-year-old to blow their nose is a struggle. Getting a 15-year-old to not piss on the floor is a struggle. And yet here Daniel Radcliffe is delivering a pretty solid performance. Not incredible, but he's 15. And I think it's easy to forget that. Like, all these actors are still very young. For some reason, I thought they were upper teens. But by the end, yeah, they're in their 20s. I mean, Hermione is 1 year younger than Daniel Radcliffe, and Rupert Grint's 1 year older. Whatever. It's easy to forget that. And that's one thing I hope everybody remembers for the Harry Potter TV show coming soon on HBO Max. These kids are kids. Yes, I think it's totally valid to criticize a bad performance. I think looking at a child actor and saying, man, there have been good child performances. Even, like, Daniel Radcliffe wasn't bad in the first movie. He's not great, but he's okay. He does a serviceable job. And that's more than enough for a young actor. There's some really great child performances as well. Really great ones. What's his name? Haley Joel Osment, Coke bloke guy now in Sixth Sense is great. He was a very talented young actor. Corey Feldman, but very talented young actor. Now they're both insane. But, I mean, Haley, not so much, but Corey, yes. Very talented young actors who gives actually good performances as kids. But you have to remember that they are still kids. Like, These like the Harry Potter actors in the TV show now, they like built a school for them. Like the Hogwarts it's both a set for them to shoot in and a actual school for them to do their homework in, because they're 11. So I hope when it comes out, people aren't just like, these actors, they're not as good as the old ones. They suck. They're kids. They're 10. They're 11 years old. Yes, it's a beloved franchise. Yes, we associate Harry Potter with Daniel Radcliffe. Yes, Alan Rickman is Severus Snape. But these guys are just, doing their job. And not in the case of Severus Snape, but in the case of the kids, they're just kids. They'll get better. They'll learn. So I hope we just understand that with this new show coming out. The new Harry Potter show, we've already got set photos from. The cast is all, of course, set. They're starting filming. They're starting production. I'm sure I'll do something for it because I really like the Harry Potter universe. I genuinely think that this universe is one of the most fun. And I really like fun, whimsical stuff. That's why I've kind of not been in love with other big franchises or universes. I haven't really been in love with Star Wars because it ended up, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. I just don't care about it as much. I love the idea that this is still the real world, but just like one layer away. Like the leaky cauldron is right there in public, in view, but it's just, one step away from high society, right? And I really like that idea. I love that the concept that, and I really love like Gothic and Renaissance architecture and stuff. Like Bloodborne's like my favorite video game ever. That Gothic aesthetic is so amazing. I love that. And so I think that's also partially why I like Harry Potter, is that it wisely sets it in the modern era so that we can be like, oh, I recognize that. I understand that. We have a grounding, especially in the first movie, there's a grounding in the universe. They're walking through the streets of London. I know that. I've seen the telephone booths. But then the telephone booth descends into the floor and they're in this magical world that's whimsical and everybody has robes and they dress kind of weird. Everything's like 1 degree different. Even though in this, like right now, Harry's wearing just a literal hoodie. Yeah, he just got out of bed, so it makes sense, but I like that, and that's something I think is lost, unfortunately, in 5 and on. I think 4 still has it a little bit, but like number 5, a hair. Number 6, almost nothing. 7 and 8, almost nothing. Like the thing that I love about the universe is just the universe itself, and when we try to get too real with it, I don't think it works as well. I think you need that separation. You need that grounding because it is still kind of a kids or family franchise. You need that grounding. And that's something I think the first Star Wars did very well, is that, Luke is just a dude. He's working on a farm. He's just a guy. And then he gets whisked away into this world that's just 1 degree away that he was never able to get to. And that's fun for an audience. And it's so hard because I do like when it goes completely all out into like a weird territory as well. So it's hard to explain. I don't know. My tastes change on a day-to-day basis, as does everybody's. But everybody also likes to say, you like this, but you don't like that? What? Just shut up, dude. What are we doing? But, yeah, I think this universe is my favorite, though. I'm really, really in love with, especially this movie. I think this movie just does such a great job of, again, having some darkness to it, having some strangeness to it that wasn't in the other ones, but keeping it fun. Yeah, it's PG-13, but it keeps it fun. That's a pretty poor way to repay them. That's a great line delivery right there. I'm not really sure what to say right now. However, I'm sure I'll think of something. Because I can yap. I can yap about Harry Potter. Maybe we could yap about Alfonso Cuaron again or something. Now, this is actually a super important moment. We'll talk about this. This is a super important moment. Because Harry just casually offhanded says, oh, Peter Pettigrew is on the map, without knowing that Lupin was one of the creators of the map, without knowing that Lupin has chosen allegiances to the public consensus that Sirius Black is an evil man that exploded Peter Pettigrew and aided in the killing of Harry's parents. And this moment, you can see how shook Lupin is by hearing Peter Pettigrew's alive, because he knows, he's created the map. He knows that if they're on the map, they're real. Peter Pettigrew is real. He's alive. And that has to really shake his worldview. That's such a critical moment that's so lightly passed up. Because it doesn't call attention to itself. Again, I just love when movies just do things that are important but don't call attention to it unless it absolutely needs to. And David Fincher is a master of this. David Fincher, completely unrelated again, but David Fincher is the king of having a moment be super important without telling you or telling you overtly. Like, he never uses close-ups, hardly ever. If you watch his movies, most of them are like mediums or wides. He very rarely uses close-ups unless it's incredibly important for you to see it. And there's what is it? Is it in The Game? I can't remember which movie it is, but there's like either a cell phone or a recording device that falls under a bed, and it like slides to the camera in an extreme close-up, and then that is super important to see where it landed, see what happened, so that they can use it later. King of that. Or the in Seven, the killer holding the gun up to Brad Pitt's head, and you get this extreme close-up on the gun, kind of shrouding the killer, so you can't see him that well. He's blurred, he's in darkness, but the gun is in this extreme close-up, and then in the next shot, boom, he pulls the gun away from his head and walks away. And that extreme close-up establishes the stakes of the gun's right there. It's in his head. All he can focus on is the gun. And then when you get that wide shot, you can see it. And then because it was so well established, you see the pull away. And it connects with the audience more that, okay, the killer had the drop on him. He had the gun to his head. And now he's leaving. And that is much more well established because of that extreme close-up. And now we get Professor Trelawney's first actual prediction or prophecy. Because she is a real prophet in Harry Potter. She actually is. She's an insane witch, but she has moments of being an actual prophet, which the book establishes. Definitely better than the movies do. Like that fifth movie, and that's a great shot, where it takes her from a close-up into this wide shot as she comes to. That's great. But let's get back to her. I think one thing that the books do actually do better is her and that prophecy. In the fifth movie feels, I don't want to say superfluous, but at times I watch that movie and I'm like, where do we actually fit in with the rest of the franchise? Now, you can maybe say that about this as well, because there's no Voldemort, there's no real overarching point, I suppose. But the fifth one feels even less so. The fifth one is like, these stakes are super important. There's this prophecy we absolutely must have, and if Voldemort gets it, then we're going to be in big trouble. It's like a weapon almost. And then the prophecy is, oh yeah, one of them's going to have to die. Like, that's it? One can't live while the other survives? Yeah, I get it. And we didn't need this prophecy to get it. I guess when they say that he's looking for a weapon that he didn't have last time, it's probably in relations to the Elder Wand of the Deathly Hallows. But also the Deathly Hallows feel like they kind of got pulled out of her ass a little bit. I mean, everything is pulled out of J.K. Rowling's ass. But they never really even mention it or talk about it. Like the fifth movie, they're like, there's a weapon. He needs a weapon, something he's looking for. It's super important. And then it almost makes it seem like it's the prophecy. Like they don't really do a good job of establishing anything outside of this really important prophecy that is just telling them one can live without the other, or one can't live without the other. Like, or whatever it is. One has to die, essentially. I'm like, yeah, okay. That's stupid. But the book does a much better job of saying, hey, not only is this the prophecy, but Professor Trelawney actually is the one that said this prophecy. And Dumbledore was there, and she said it to Dumbledore, and he gave her the job based completely on that prophecy and is protecting her because of it, because he doesn't want anyone to know it. Now look at that freaking sweet monster in that egg. That's such a cool puppet. That's great. I love that. So the book does a great job of that, establishing that, and it gives you the full prophecy, which is like, I think part of it, if I want to say, is like, there's a boy born on this day in May, and he's going to be great. And they have this whole monologue and dialogue about how both Harry and Neville were born on the same day. And because Voldemort chose to go after Harry, he made the prophecy about Harry. Whereas if he had gone after Neville, it would have been about Neville. It didn't necessarily... Harry wasn't necessarily the quote-unquote chosen one. He was the chosen one because Voldemort picked him to be. And that's kind of an interesting concept that's not explored at all in the films. Because how would you do it? I don't know. It's a little bit of a heady concept that doesn't really have much to do with a lot. But it is interesting, and I like it. And I think we'll see that in the TV show, or at least I hope we do. 'Cause stuff like that hit the cutting room floor, again, understandable. But it'd be interesting to see what they do with it. And there's a lot of little things like that. There's a lot of little things that are holdovers from the book in the movie without context. And they, like here, in the 7th movie, Harry has a shard of glass, which we learn is a mirror. And he occasionally looks into it. He occasionally sees himself. He occasionally sees Dumbledore's brother. And it's never established. There's no context for it. It's just there. Like, it just appears. And if you hadn't read the books, I don't even know how you would understand what's happening. Like, sure, it goes over a kid's head, but like in my head, I see that, and without context, without understanding what it is or like how he got it, it's such a bizarre little plot device that just appears in the film and feels entirely like a plot device. I think plot devices are very important, and the new Naked Gun movie has a really funny joke about it, where a guy steals a thing from a vault and it says plot device on it. That's funny, and it is literally like the MacGuffin of the movie, which are important. You need things that characters want or are lusting after or desiring, because you have to have motivation for characters to do things, and a plot device is a great way of doing it. But when it feels like a plot device, when you can just see, they just needed this to further the story, and there's no reason why they would have it or context why they would have it, it doesn't work. Like that mirror, that piece of glass that Harry has in the 7th is a mirror that Sirius Black gives him, I think in the 4th or the 5th. I think it's the 4th. I want to say it's the 4th. And he's like, you can use this to talk to me anytime you want. Like, you don't have to go through the normal channels. You can just, I have the other piece. It's like a two-way mirror, and you can talk to each other through it as long as the other person's on the line. It's like a phone, but a mirror, and you can talk. It's like FaceTime. And then Harry, like, they introduce it, and the entire book goes by, and it feels like J.K. Rowling forgot it existed. And then in the end of the book, Harry's like, it was in the bottom of my suitcase this whole time. I think it was the 5th one. It's like, it's the bottom of my suitcase this whole time, and I could have used it to talk to Sirius, but now he's gone, and I'm sad, and now I'll never be able to talk to him, and it broke accidentally, or he broke it or something. So that all that context is gone from the movies. Like, Sirius's FaceTime thing is completely out of there. And it's such a critical little thing that comes into play in the 7th one, because they use it to communicate with Dumbledore's brother, and he is helping people survive evil Hogwarts. But then in the 7th one, he just has it. It's just there. Like, what even is it? In the context of the movies, without the backstory, I don't even know what it is or what it does. It just shows things. He looks into it and asks for help, and then help shows up. Like, what is going on? So that is one thing I'm interested to see about the TV show, is that those little things, context, backstory, that prophecy, all that stuff, I think
while not 100% important all of the time, is going to be nice to have. Like the prophecy thing, we didn't necessarily need to know for what they were going for the film. But then also it makes the prophecy feel less important, like I said. So maybe it is important to have that context. And definitely in the case of that mirror, it's important to have context because you just don't even know what it is. I think they may have like an offhand line, but this scene's also very silly, where she's picking up Harry with one hand. Bitch, how much do you bench? She's like, yo, check this out. I'm being thrashed around by vines, but I'm going to just grab Harry by his shirt with my offhand and then launch him into this passageway. That's stupid. But, you know what? Who cares? It's a movie about magic. It's fine. That's a nitpick that doesn't affect my experience. It's just there. It's just fun. Now this is an interesting part of the book, and it's an interesting part of the movie too. It's actually one of we should talk about this. It's one of the best pieces of score in the movie. John Williams is the man, and I can't. No one ever can say enough good things about John Williams. Yeah, I mean, what can we say that hasn't been said about the illustrious career of John Williams? He's not only is this one of my favorite scores from him, everything he's done is basically brilliant. Just hum a song. Let's do that. How about this? We'll do a fun little exercise. This is a fun game I like to call the scores of film. I think of a movie's soundtrack and hum it to yourself. Okay, let's do it. Jurassic Park. Okay, let me think of another one. Jaws. Okay, let me think of another one. Okay, that's not a movie, but it's the Olympic fanfare. Okay, you know what? Let's just think of another one. Indiana Jones. Or, okay, we hum the Harry Potter one. Let's hum Harry Potter. They come to mind. That's Harry Potter. Every single one of those is John Williams. Obviously. Pretty much anything you could possibly hum that comes to mind is probably John Williams. The man is a legend. He's a goat of the industry. Everything he's done is memorable, amazing, and fits the tone of the film that he's doing perfectly. And I love his style because it kind of resonates with modern and old golden age filmmaking. I think it just fits movies so well, because I think one thing that we're starting to unfortunately get away from is that movies are movies. I think there's this weird fascination. Oh, look at Alan Rickman run up the stairs. That was awesome. I love that, actually. There's a weird fascination now with movies having to be real, and I legitimately don't understand why. Like, what is the fascination with Dune, for example, having to look like the real world? Why are we, if it's dark outside, I get it. Yeah, it's going to be hard to see certain things in the desert. It's probably dark. But why does a movie have to do that? Watch Titanic. You watch Titanic and, like, that entire sequence with Jack on the little floating thing, that's set in, like, pitch black. Like, in Titanic lore, the Titanic sinks because it's a moonless night. No one can see. It's incredibly dark. It's in the Atlantic, and the water's, like, perfectly still. So you literally just cannot see anything. But the movie is bright You can see what's happening. They just put like a blue filter over it. It's a little stupid. Yeah, just put a blue filter on it. But no, you wouldn't even think about it. You're just like, oh, I can see. And this is an important scene to see. It's an important scene in Dune when Zendaya is teaching Timothy Chalamet the ways of their culture to like do their little sand walk, and I can't even see it. It's so dark. Or when they're running away from the worm, I'm like, is that even the worm? I don't even know what's happening. It's so dark because it has to be realistic. The lighting has to be real. Why? Look at this. They're like in this mangy old dirty house, and everyone is like beautifully lit, and it's dark out. And then in a couple minutes, we're going to have a werewolf running around by the light of the moon, and it will be nice and bright, and you'll still be able to see it without suspending disbelief that it's dark, that it's nighttime. How have we got away from lighting movies like this? Legit. Like, the lighting of this is so wonderful. And of course, it goes back to Alfonso Cuaron just being a great director, but how we got away from it? I really don't know. I really, really don't get it. And Peter Pettigrew's so ugly. Oh my gosh. And that actor is good. I can't remember his name, but he's a good actor, and he's usually not this ugly. I mean, he's not like a looker, but he's not like this. There, they got him effed up. I love how Lupin, David Thewlis is playing this too. And I love Gary Oldman in this, honestly. I think he's really good. Like when he's screaming about, I did my waiting. You can see the anger and the pain and rage he has over being imprisoned for 13 years for something he very clearly didn't do that everybody, including his friends like Lupin, believed he did. And then Lupin, you can see him playing it like he's shocked and appalled. When Peter comes back, you can see him in his eyes. He's just playing it so well. This is just three great actors. And they're all they're character actors too, which is becoming more and more rare. Like most actors now are like, it's like sports too. Like sports have become, hockey or basketball have become the talent gap between like LeBron and a guy on the bench, while still fairly high, is gradually reducing. Like your star player isn't significantly better than a guy on the bench, and that's clear when like guys like, for example, if you watch basketball, which I get it if you don't. I mean, a guy like Mikal Bridges goes to the Nets from the Suns. He was basically a 3-and-D guy on the Suns. Pretty good, decent defender, good shooter. Goes to the Nets, and he's like an all-star. He leads the team. He's like a 20-point-per-game guy. Lauri Markkanen, same case. He's like a tall 3-and-D guy for the Cavs. Comes to Utah, immediately has an all-star season where he's just blowing everyone's mind. Because the NBA is so talented, and the gap between talent is gradually reducing. And it's making the game better because of that. But also, the product is a little worse. You watch the NBA, and everybody's so good that you get games that are like 150 to 149. And I'm like, is that actually fun? I'm not convinced that it is. Yes, you want to have the best talent fighting the best talent, but not every game can be the all-star game. And everybody in the NBA has potential to be an all-star in the right situation with the right coach. Like, their talent clearly got them there for a reason. I mean, yeah, and it's the same, like, and it's the same in hockey. I mean, like, hockey is, everybody has to be a good skater. Everybody has to be a good shooter. Everybody, like, the physicality of the game is slowly reducing because enforcers also have to be really skilled. And then we're seeing that same concept where everybody has to be like versatile in everything. I mean, you see it in corporate America. You have to be able to like understand software, Excel, all these programs. You have to be able to communicate with people. You have to be able to do hands-on labor, and that's just one position. And then it's same in film. Like film right now is like we want the all-star actors in every role. I mean, that's clear for, this is such an incredible scene, by the way, the werewolf. That's clear for like every Christopher Nolan movie is like every single actor, regardless of their role, has to be like the all-star. But like this, Lupin, Gary Oldman, Alan Rickman, incredible cast. None of them were like the Daniel Day-Lewis. Now, Gary Oldman finally got his Academy Award that he's been lusting after for so long with The Darkest Hour, which is so boring. But none of them are like they're character actors. And you need that type of actor because specific roles demand specific characters. You don't need Matt Damon in the Sirius Black role. Like, the all-star guy shouldn't be in that role. As good as Gary Oldman is, he was never the all-star guy. In pretty much everything he's in, he's the character actor, dude. And he's the best. He's the Michael Jordan of character actors. And that's why he got his Academy Award. Because he got a leading role, and it was still a character, and he was still a character actor, but he's so good that he got an Academy Award. He's the Michael Jordan of character actors. Daniel Day-Lewis is the Michael Jordan of, actors in general. The versatility, the physicality, the losing him. That's such a great shot. That close up of him howling to the moon. But you need character actors in these types of roles. Like McGonagall, that's not an all-star actor, but she's perfect for the role. Same with Dumbledore, the first and the second one. Dumbledore's. It's important to cast the correct role with the correct character actor. Because if you don't, then it doesn't work as well. Like, again, one of the worst aspects of Interstellar is when they go to that one icy planet and Matt Damon shows up. And it's like, oh, that's just Matt Damon. That actively detracts from the character because we're like, oh, that's Matt Damon. It's like a cameo. Like, cameos can work, but with that character being so integral to the story, I'm just like, oh, that's Matt Damon. And it doesn't work as well. You needed a character actor in that role. But since Christopher Nolan has so much influence and so much sway, and I imagine basically every actor wants to work with him, he's just like, oh, we'll get the superstar lineup. Well, it'll be an all-star game. And it doesn't work. It doesn't. You can't have every actor be the superstar. Yes, in Oppenheimer, he had Cillian Murphy in the lead role, and he's a great character actor. But he's always had Cillian Murphy, and then Matt Damon is like the general, and Robert Downey Jr. is the antagonist. And it's just this A-list Emily Blunt all-star cast. And like, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess you could maybe say Emily Blunt's a character actor too, but I don't know. I just don't think the ensemble should happen anymore. The Odyssey scares me because it's like every actor is like the big name, and I don't think that's a good idea for Homer's The Odyssey. I don't think that's a good idea. There is a difference. Going back, another sports analogy. There's a difference from a number 1 option and the number 3 option. Luka Doncic on the Lakers and Austin Reeves or Jackson Hayes. There's a difference. Luka gonna lead the team. Steph Curry on the Warriors. He's the number 1 option. He's the guy. He's the superstar. He's gonna get you to the championship. That's the Daniel Day-Lewis. He's the guy that's gonna carry the film. He's the guy that's gonna carry you to success. But you have to surround the superstar with a good second option. Yes, like Kevin Durant on the Warriors was the perfect second option. Klay Thompson, the perfect third option. Draymond Green, the perfect fourth option. Kevon Looney, they all had their roles. And that's why they won so many championships. That's why people hated them in 2016 when they were just blowing the doors off people. Because they had the superstar, they had their roles very defined. Everybody knew what they had to do. Draymond, he's going to hit a couple threes. He's going to play hard defense. He's going to punch people, and he's going to pass the ball well. Klay Thompson's going to shoot the catch and shoot threes, and he's really great at that. The offense is gonna go through Steph Curry. He's gonna shoot the threes. He's gonna do everything. He's gonna do it better everything. Kevon Looney, occasional tip in, mostly there for rebounding. Same with Michael Jordan, the Michael Jordan era. Scottie Pippen, 3-and-D. Dennis Rodman, rebound guy. Michael Jordan, the offense goes through him. Here, Harry Potter is the Michael Jordan. He is the guy that's going to get you to the promised land. He's the superstar, and you surround him with the talent that complements him. And every single film, every single anything, I think has to have that structure to create a winning formula. Not everybody can be Michael Jordan. If there was 5 Michael Jordans on a team, that team would probably not be that good. Because they'd all be ball hogging, the spacing would be bad. They'd be a good defense and they'd make some shots. But when the ball's flying around, 5 Michael Jordans wouldn't work. 5 shooting guards, you can just lay it up over him. Or you do some inside-outside game. You'd probably kill that team. Because it's just not built properly. And a film is the same way. You have to build it properly. So in this, Harry Potter's the main guy. You have, of course, Hermione and Rupert Grint too. But then you build out that supporting cast of the C, B, number 2, number 3 options. The Gary Oldmans, the David Thewlis, the Dumbledore's actor, the McGonagall, Hagrid, all these guys that aren't big names, but are going to get you to the finish line because they know their role and they're good at it. They don't need an Academy Award. They're just good at what they need to be good at. But again, that's the importance of a director. The director is the one, he's the coach, he's the head coach, he's the guy that has to, or the GM even. It's probably more accurate to say that he's everything. He's the president of the team. He's the head coach of the team. He's the GM of the team. He's everything. He's the one that is saying, "Hey, every minute detail has to be this way." And I mean, obviously, there's above the line guys. Producers are gonna hire the people they think are right, but the director's the one that's orchestrating everything. He's the guy. He's the guy on the bench saying, "Okay, this is the lineup we need right now. This is what I'm gonna put in. This is how I'm gonna put it in, and this is our game plan." And without that, without a clear direction, without a clear head coach, it just doesn't work as well. Like David Yates would have been fired after his first season on the Detroit Pistons if he was a head coach. But he got 4 movies, including The Fantastic Beasts. He's not a talented director. I'm sorry, David. I'm sorry. You're not a talented director. You're fine. You're a studio shill. But the direction takes such a nosedive. And with it, so much else. When your direction isn't smart, the cast isn't as good. The cast doesn't know what they're doing. The cast, as talented as so many of them are, you can tell there's times when they're like, I don't even know what we're trying to communicate here or what's going on. Like the scene when Hermione and Harry are dancing in the tent in 7 Part 1, I'm like, what are they going for? The actors look so awkward and weird. It doesn't work the way he wanted it to. He wanted it to be like this moment where Harry and Hermione, after all this grief and all this hardship, they have a little moment where they're at peace or happy. And I'm like, it doesn't work. It just is awkward. Or when Ginny is tying Harry's shoe for him. Like, what? What are we doing? But I don't know. And so, but now we should talk about this though. Now we get the time turner, which is the only time in the whole franchise that they're used. Even they even go as far as to say in the 5th one that all of them get broken so that they can't be used ever again because J.K. Rowling didn't want that plot device hanging over her head. I think it's always a bad idea to introduce time travel into a franchise because then it just opens this can of worms of why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? Like, I've seen people say, why didn't Hermione use the time turner to go back in time and to kill Voldemort? And there's a reason I did that stupid voice. because that's stupid. I don't think there's an explanation why. But you shouldn't need one. I don't think you should need an explanation of why Hermione didn't go back in time and shoot Voldemort with a gun. That's incredibly stupid. And they talk about it a little bit in the movie where they can't be seen by themselves. They kind of have to hide in the shadows. They can't really affect anything because smartly, I think very wise of J.K. Rowling to do it this way, where time is a river that flows in one direction. Now you can go back to a bend in the river, but the bend is still going to be there. Just because you went from one bend back to another doesn't mean that both aren't still there. If you walk from that back bend to the front bend, it's still there. And I think that's a very smart way of communicating time, that it's a constant flow and that you can't really change the trajectory of it because it's already happened. I mean, all of this stuff already happened, and it's fun to see it again. Like, okay, they're watching Hermione punch Draco again. It's already happened. They're just observing it. They're there again. And they do all these things. It's kind of Bill and Ted's, where they do all of these things for their past selves and their future selves. So they say Buckbeak, no spoilers. They do all these little things from the shadows. And it recontextualizes what you see when you watch it again. Because time is just a linear thing. And that's very smart, because then then you can really, not doing it that way, you open up that idea of, yeah, Hermione can go back in time and shoot Voldemort with a gun, but then she wouldn't be coming back from where she left. Like, if she went back from one bend in the river to another bend in the river, and then was able to manipulate that bend in the opposite direction, she wouldn't be able to go back to where she was from. That wouldn't exist anymore. So it wouldn't have made sense for her to come back from that place that doesn't exist, right? It's hard to explain because time travel's stupid. So that they at least do a good job of saying, we can't be seen. We have to actually hide in the shadows a little bit. And she uses it just to take more classes, which is kind of a dumb way to use time travel. Like, I just want to take more classes. But for her, it makes sense. So time travel is so weird. It's loopy. Any movie that focuses on time travel has like a 90% chance that it's just not going to work. Also, the vase there split in a completely different way than it did earlier. Okay, my movie. So you get little fun things like that, but there's very few time travel movies that I think actually do a good job. Like Primer. Primer is a great example. A prime example of a pretty good time travel movie. 12 Monkeys, I think, is a great time travel movie. Looper isn't. A lot of people love Looper, and I think it has its moments, but and Back to the Future, I think, is like 50-50 on its time travel. I hate when a movie uses time travel in like a Disney Channel way, where they go back in time and they have like a picture of themselves slowly disappearing unless they do this thing, or they change things too much and people disappear or whatever. I just don't think that's a smart way of doing it. This is a lot more fun too. I think it's a lot more fun to have the characters be unable to change anything. So they have to kind of like be sneaky and subtle and like actually think things through. It's so much more complex than just saying, I went back and shot a guy with a gun. And Looper does that. Or like, I came from the future. I'm you from the future, and I'm here to just shoot this little baby with a gun. Like, okay, that's not that interesting. Yeah, he's a bad guy in the future, but it's not that interesting. It's so much less complex. Here, they're like, okay, we have this very small window to save Buckbeak, and we have to be smart about it. We have this very small window to save Sirius Black, and we have to be smart about it. Now, I don't know how me and Sirius got saved on the beach with that pulsating shield thing, which it wouldn't have been. In the book, it would have been the stag that jumps around and shoots them all. But I think it's more clever, it's more fun, it's more complicated. And it gives them motivation to do things differently. which I like, and it recontextualizes the movie without changing it in a fundamental way. So all that, I think it's smart. I think all these stupid, like, quote-unquote plot holes is a bad way to look at it, too. Like, that doesn't make any sense because you could have done this. I think that's a bad way of looking at it. Because it's not a part of the story to even consider that Hermione would go back in time and kill Voldemort. I don't. J.K. Rowling must have thought of that, though, and destroyed them all. And say, oh, there's none left. Whoops. It's an interesting magical object, the Time Turner. It's interesting. Just not... It's not fully realized, but it's well done enough, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass here. And look, they say Buckbeak. Woohoo! Everybody's favorite creature. He just wants to eat a couple dead ferrets. What's the freaking problem? He's a good dude. And then you get this fun moment where he chops the pumpkin, and you see the kids on the hill earlier watching him chop it, but the tree's in the way. It's these clever little things to hide the information from the audience, visually as well. I think that's smart. Just hide some things. And the crow lands on Cornelius' fudge head. Awesome. I love crows. Crows are like my favorite birds. Okay, what to talk about now? We're about 2 hours in. We've got about 20 minutes left. We're very, very thick into the third act. The low point was when Harry almost died. That's obvious. So this is our climax. Everything's been building here. They've talked about, and they've done actually a very good job, too, of setting up the idea of time travel without, and I like, this is kind of funny, where he uses his wand to, like, stop the tree. In the book, there's, like, a button on the tree that they literally just push, and the tree stops. Which is, I don't know if I like it as much as just using your wand. Because, like, in the book, there's also, in this one, Hermione's cat actually befriends Sirius Black. And Sirius is like, as a dog, this cat is so smart. She's a genius. She's helped me through so much. I showed her the knot on the tree that she can push to disable it. And I'm like, I think that's kind of silly, but it's probably smart not to put it in the film. It's fine for a book. That's such a pretty movie, though. Like, every shot is so well composed. Like that shot of them sitting in the trees as it's pulling backwards, and the frame within the frame of the trees centering the Whomping Willow and the two in the middle of the frame. That's such a great shot. It was my dad. Why would he think it's his dad? That's an interesting idea. Like, why would he think that? Like, he's dead. Maybe he believes so much in magic. And I guess his dad does show up in the fourth one and then, like, uses his ghostliness to make Voldemort stumble so he doesn't kill Harry. But why would he think it's his dad? And look, again, modern filmmaking, this scene would be so much darker. It's dark, but look how harsh the light is on Harry here. Like, his half of his face is lit very well. And half of Hermione's face is lit very well. Most of hers in that shot. She's kind of hidden in Harry's shadow a little bit. But look at the background there, too. As the light changes, that is so great. That lighting cue is so subtle and incredible. They're lit from the left side. Very harsh light. Where's it coming from? Who cares? And then as the moon comes out, you have that lighting cue change where the light from the left changes. And I think they just probably turn it off or dim it, and then the light from the right comes in as the full moon comes out, lighting the scene now, quote unquote, from the moon. That's such a great lighting change. And it doesn't ever, our disbelief, like, it never seems like day for night. It never seems like, oh, this is just unnatural lighting. It still works because it's still very dark, but there's harsh lighting from certain directions, while maybe unmotivated at times, it doesn't even matter. Like, it's a movie. There's unmotivated lighting. There's unmotivated music. There's unmotivated everything. That's what a film is. John Williams' music isn't in the world. It's like, Sean Astin said this in the Lord of the Rings commentary. There's a scene when Frodo is in, the evil Mordor tower, and there's goblins there and orcs there, and they're like going through his stuff. And there's this big spotlight coming from the roof. And apparently Sean Astin was in, for some reason. Why was he there? I don't know. He's kind of weird. He was in the room with like the lighting guy or some guy, and he asked him like, "Where's that light coming from?" Because it's just there's a beam coming from the ceiling straight down, and they're in a castle in like the evil part of the world. Like the light reasonably shouldn't be there. So being him, he asks, "Where's that light coming from?" And the guy goes, "Same place the music is." Because it doesn't matter. Like, that's a film. That's what art is. Like, you can have unmotivated lighting. And that's what I don't like about modern filmmaking, is that, like, if they're in a room, they have, like, 15 lamps to light the room with just lamps because they have to have motivated lighting. Why? You really don't. And this is a perfect example of it. Yeah, there's lighting from the moon there in the background, but where's the lighting from the foreground coming from? Who cares? As long as I can see it and still believe that it's night, which I do, it's great. It works. And I think it actually works better than the Titanic. You didn't even have to put a blue filter over it to make me believe it's night, because like half the frame is still hidden in darkness. The Benters are so badass in this too. I think they kind of cock up their design a bit. Like the fifth one, when they're flying around in the tunnels, the design's not as good. I love like the slow billow of the robes in this one. Their hands are so gangly. Oh man, they're great. You're dying, both of you. Here he goes. Oh, this does call into question the concept of we can't be seen, because he is seen. He sees himself, and nothing really changes. Nothing really happens. So could you just see yourself and be like, well, that's weird? Hermione says at one point, like, oh, the really bad things happen to wizards who meddle with time. And I'm sure that's true. But doesn't he kind of do that here? Like he sees himself doing this? Pulsating a shield out? It does call into question. That's a plot hole. That's a cinema sin. Ding. That's a cinema sin. Hermione said we can't be seen, but then Harry went out and was seen by himself. Ding! It's bullshit. Who cares? As long as a movie I won't say mostly. As long as a movie follows its own logic and its rules, I'm totally fine with it. That scene, and that one does give at least a slight explanation for it, where we get to see Harry's perspective as he's falling unconscious. Like the light from his wand is shielding who he is. So he doesn't necessarily see who it is. He doesn't know who it was before. He just did it. So I guess it's a hand wavy thing there. Like, yeah, he didn't really see who he was. I don't know. And this lighting is so great. Oh, the lighting from the bars cast on his face is awesome. I have a Lego set of this, actually. I just sold. Serious Escape. I got it at Walmart for like $15 on clearance, and then it retired, and I sold it for $50. Woo! I didn't even intend on selling it. I love the Harry Potter Legos. It's like my favorite line from Lego is Harry Potter. They're so fun and quirky and weird. Look at this courtyard, too. This is sick as hell. And again, beautifully lit. Who is the guy? Like, who's the DP on this, man? He did such a fantastic job. I love these hard shadows that are being cast on the ground, or like again the bars that are cast onto Sirius as he's sitting there. Michael Cerison Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War of the Planet of the Apes, Gravity. Not an illustrious career, but man, he killed it here. Good for you, Michael. I really like Sirius's character in this too. I like his softness here, and contrasted with like that pain and rage that he had when he found Peter Pettigrew. I also like in the book, they get a little bit more explanation of like how Sirius didn't go out of his mind in Azkaban, because there's just Dementors that are sucking the happiness out of you. I like that he was like, I knew I was innocent, and that's the thing that kept me going, is that I knew Peter was out there and I could kill him. So he didn't go mad. I still think the reasoning behind how he was able to escape is a little bit like vague and nebulous, which I think is smart not to explain in this movie. They just say he escaped because he's like an epic prison escaper. I think that's more smart, because you don't necessarily have to explain every single thing. You don't have to explain how he got out of prison. You don't have to explain how he got there. You don't have to explain where he's hiding. You don't have to explain that necessarily. It doesn't really matter. So I think it's better that the film kind of cut that. But it is interesting enough. And then Dumbledore here playing dumb is fun. Dumbledore gets a kind of a bad rap. I've heard about so many people say like he relies on Harry too much. He doesn't give Harry enough to do or like help. Like in the first one when Harry is fighting Voldemort in the bowels of the castle over the Sorcerer's Stone. Why didn't Dumbledore help him? Why wasn't Dumbledore there? He could have stopped it. But he's allowing these kids to grow up. He's giving them the tools they need to be able to do it. And he's allowing them to make the decisions. He's allowing them to grow up, to learn, to experience. And it's hard. Like that's the difficulty of parenting is, hey, how much do we reasonably let these kids experience the world before we step in? And I think that's perfect. I think Dumbledore is the perfect parent archetype, the perfect pseudo-father for Harry. Because without him, if he stepped in all those times, I'm gonna stop Professor Quirrell. I'm gonna stop the snake. I'm gonna stop Ginny with the diary. He probably didn't know immediately, but once he did, he could have stepped in and just stopped it instantly. He's like the most powerful wizard in the world, like ever. He's like, he's like the Michael Jordan of the wizarding world. He's the most powerful wizard of all time. He can do anything. And frequently he knows things well before they happen, so he could have stepped in and stopped things. But I think he's also wise enough to know that like Harry can handle Professor Quirrell in the basement because Quirrell couldn't even touch him, or he'd like turn into ashes. Could he have used Avada Kedavra? Sure, but I think he hedged his bets in the sense that Voldemort would want something more because his arrogance blinds him. I love this moment, though, right there where he says, yeah, it didn't make any difference, Pettigrew escaped. This is such a great moment of, like I said in the fifth one, it feels almost inconsequential, where nothing it didn't make any difference. Oh, there's the boom mic. I saw the boom mic in the glass of that. But this is a great moment where it's like Harry, this isn't Voldemort. He's not fighting Voldemort. He's not killing anybody. It didn't make any difference. But then Lupin is wise enough to say, no, this is huge. This is hugely important. You saved a guy. You helped him escape. You uncovered a dark truth. And now we'll never be the same. And I'm a better person. And I know that my friend is my friend, actually. And I betrayed him, but I'm going to try and make it right. Like, it was important. And a lot did happen. A lot does happen in this. A lot is forwarded. There's a lot that comes from this movie. Even if Voldemort isn't there, even if he doesn't pull out an AK and mow down a crowd of people, like, a lot happens here. And I like that it is just... And I like as many changes as Alfonso Cuaron did. He kept the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom almost exactly the same, with the way it's laid out, and even that like bones, that dragon bones up in the top of the class, that's there as well. Like that's fun. He was like, you know what, this is perfect. Let's just keep it that way. And then Harry gets a firebolt. Nepotism at its finest. Sirius sent it. How did Sirius get money? Where did Sirius buy it from? Because he's a wanted fugitive. Plot hole. CinemaSin. Ding. There you go. I love that it ends on a freeze frame too. I think that's so fun. Here we go. Zooming into the sky. Whoa! Freeze frame. That's great. And that's Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the best Harry Potter movie by a landslide. I don't know if I've done a good enough job at all of painting the picture of why I love it so much, but I've had fun. I hope you've had fun. Alfonso Cuaron absolutely murdered this. Steve Kloves, that's the screenplay writer. And it's the perfect fall movie. It's just one of my favorites. It's such a comfort movie for me. It's so well done. You can watch it straight up, have fun, analyze it, see it in theaters, listen to the sound design, watch the filmmaking, or you can put it on while you're just, doing some laundry. It's great for everything. John Williams, you're the man. All right, everybody, that's all I've got. See you in the next one.